particular, it's been a rough tournament so far. When you look at who they've had to play, you would expect that Spacestation would come out on top. For FaZe, they have been able to squeak by a Game 5 victory in their last matchup here. I think the desk is absolutely right about one thing, aside from the cringe, is mostly for Spacestation. This is kind of a pick-me-up, kind of morale type of win that they would need here. When you talk about living in a team house together, I think Gibbs was absolutely right. There's a lot of expectations that come with that. And for Spacestation, the performance they put on so far, that expectation has certainly not been met. Taking down a team like FaZe, well, that could help things out.
Also fortunate for Spacestation that they aren't in a position where they could be eliminated, because they're in that 4th spot. And like I said, fortunate that the team below them didn't really have a performance to make that a threat. But I absolutely agree. They need this to get back into form. Sipical's flip reset taken away by AJ. And going into tomorrow, because it's not the Spacestation that you or I expect. Oh. It might be difficult, though, against FaZe.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you talk about what Spacestation has done as of late in versus what they've done previously here in RLCSX in the previous splits, it's a far cry. And the talent's still there. It's been a rough go for them here. And again, I think this is a great matchup for them to start to bounce back and trend upwards.
FaZe, another push forward. Illusion shot's clean, and that one is in. FaZe get the first goal.
Yeah, almost casual here for FaZe. Sipical out of the play. Reynolds goes to a hard tackle, but that ball bounces straight back out. Sipical on the recovery just can't get up, and Arsenal as well trying to jump after it. It was an easy shot for Illusion all the way, and a 1-0 lead for FaZe.
Well, Spacestation, still some work to get started, but Illusion has 2 in the tank. Oh, what a save from Reynolds. AJ also blocked by Arsenal. And that save, see if they can turn that into something offensive here with Arsenal. Illusion, cutting Arsenal off there. Couldn't stay on the ball. Now Illusion has AJ, but it's met again by Sipical. Spacestation again, facing early pressure from FaZe, but Arsenal finds Reynolds downfield, and AJ gets a nice block. FaZe had some crazy defensive stands in the last match, and I expect more of that. From the last few tournaments we've seen, it feels like more times than not they have some crazy defensive stands.
Oh, absolutely, especially when you have a player like AJ to pull off those opportunities. And speaking of them, talk about the offense for a second, Jorby, as he puts away his first goal.
Yeah, AJ, the star, gets another nice one. It's simple, off the ceiling. He's got the space. He beats the first man on the side wall, and there's nobody in a position to challenge him. All he has to do is put it up top, and that's exactly what he did. AJ in that position, high threat. He nailed it.
For FaZe, this is a fantastic start. When you talk about the history between these two teams, I mean, it is in favor of Spacestation Gaming. They've won they've won 8 of the last 10 matchups between these two teams in various tournaments. So for Spacestation, this is a series and this is a matchup that they win pretty hard, at least history tells us. And right now, it's been all FaZe.
And it's funny too, because I do remember a couple of those matches when you'd end up talking to Reynolds in a post-game interview, and you'd ask him like, what team is he really afraid of? And he'd always say the Peeps. He's like, he never feels comfortable against now FaZe. But they end up winning those matches like you were talking about, and it never really seems to affect them that much. But FaZe take an inch, they might take a mile. Gyro bangs it off the post. AJ racing back towards the ball. Sipical gets there first.
AJ has just been zipping around the field for FaZe. He is everywhere. He is feeling it today. Feels like every decision that he's making is the right one, and here he wants to take it by himself. Does get over Sipical looking for help. The ball still comes out to him, and with no boost, he can't really do much else with it. Big miss. It allows Lucian to maybe have an opportunity, but here comes Sipical back the other way. Reynolds has an opportunity himself. It's shut down by AJ on the big clear. Arsenal racing back, does get there.
Massive clear from AJ. Spacestation can turn it around quickly, but they can't. You saw him get tied up, trying to move down the field again, allow Gyro to come in and break it up. FaZe continue to drive game 1. AJ especially has been a nuisance. Illusion got a bump as well. Gyro waiting on the wing, and he just missed off the crossbar. Arsenal has the clear out, but AJ stole the boost. Gyro comes in to take the ball. AJ coming back down again, and this is a tough ball in the corner that Spacestation have to handle. They finally get a gift here from Illusion. Sipical forcing the ball out, but Gyro is right there, and another save. FaZe don't even blink.
Yeah, the defense has been extremely strong for FaZe, even though they've let up quite a few shots. I mean, Spacestation do have 7 shots here in this game, but FaZe Nothing seems to get in the way of their defense in the transition game. Spacestation really haven't been able to slow them down too much. This is an opportunity now for Spacestation to put something together before time runs out. That could be it. Typical does get the touch off the bump from Reddles, and Spacestation get one back.
This is vintage Spacestation right here. Reddles whipping around, setting up a play, getting the bump, and then Typical, recognizing where AJ's approaching, puts it under him, and an easy goal for Spacestation, where they weren't really able to get anything going. Like the start of the game, you had Typical's flip reset. They ended up getting no power on it. It wasn't even on target. And then the chances that they got were, I wouldn't say scarce, just disjointed. They were never able to generate real pressure against FaZe, but now they might have the chance here off this kickoff. Illusion can't get the clear. Typical pops over Gyro. He's still in front, but it's taken away by Illusion. Next up, Arsenal. And he find a way through. He waits for Illusion. Gifted with the ball. Can't get the power he wants. And Typical played it close, though. Gets the pinch. Spacestation looking for a way in against FaZe at the end of regulation. Hit off the side wall. Here they come. Reynolds, one touch up. Arsenal tried to bump AJ, but it's an open net downfield. They just got to get it on the ground to end game one, and we'll see if they can do so. FaZe keeping it away. Excellent job from Gyro. FaZe take game one.
Yeah, that was a phenomenal game from FaZe. I felt like they were in control for the majority of that game. And again, off the back of a lot of great work from AJ, keeping things dangerous. But I want to say and point out the goal that Spacestation had, the one that Typical put away, a great work from Reddles individually to not only put that ball across the box, but also remove the first defender in Gyro. That's the type of offense that I think I would expect from Spacestation, to be a bit more clever on the ball. And I think that's really what's been missing with Spacestation. They're a lot more direct with the ball as of late, whereas these goals where they're able to find the ball across the box with all defenders looking at it and being able to eliminate defender just mixes things up for Spacestation. They're able to find those small holes, the small gaps in the defense where they're able to put the ball away. That's where I think Spacestation are the strongest.
Well, FaZe certainly looked strong against Spacestation on defense, especially. Spacestation were just unable to hang on to the ball. There really weren't any gaps for them to exploit, simply because FaZe did such a good job on offense of keeping the ball away for so long, something we see Spacestation do to so many teams. And so I think, especially AJ looks really solid. I know Lucian started off with that first goal, but AJ stole so many plays away. He had a couple of nice saves as well. He's having a really nice performance so far against Spacestation.
I'm glad
Gyro
you
might
mentioned
start too. Yeah,
I'm glad you mentioned Illusion too, because I think when people think of this FaZe Clan team, they think of AJ, right, and his mechanical prowess. But there's a lot that allows him to do that here. Spacestation looked to actually get their first one in the second game, right off the crossbar. It'll go straight in for Arsenal.
Yeah, you take it however you get it, and Typical delivers it on a silver platter for Arsenal. 2 FaZe cars in not the spot they want to be in for a drop down like that from Typical. They both commit, but it's not even close. And Spacestation get a long shot for their first goal.
The point I was trying to make, Jordan, with Illusion is that he does fill in those gaps and allows his teammates to have the success that they have. Gyro especially being that first man, bumping players out of the way like Typical there, and of course AJ in his attempts. Now another breakaway and a demo from Reynolds makes it wide open for Typical 2-0.
It might even been wide open before then. Not the touch you want if you're Illusion. Gyro wasn't ready for it. AJ was already behind the ball, and it was too late. The demo was really just salt in the wound for AJ, as they take a 2-goal deficit now. A complete flip from how FaZe started game number 1.
And a complete flip from the point I was making as well. There is no cohesion right now from FaZe. We'll have to clean things up here. First 45 seconds come and gone. Spacestation starting off, I think, the way they would want to in a series like this, in a much more commanding fashion as well. I know they've been kind of 2 breakaway goals, but they've been able to capitalize on those big mistakes from FaZe. Here comes Typical as he tries to set something up, and Spacestation unable to.
Ooh, Reddles happy to take that ball back to the corner. Almost faced a dangerous situation, and they still might not be out of it. Gyro forces the ball in the defensive third, and then Reynolds wins a massive ball in midfield. AJ doesn't get a solid clear. Arsenal tries to punish. Gyro picked up the next save. Bumped off the play, and Typical's given a little bit of space. Dump back to Reynolds. One touch, but he's not going to go for it. He lets it drop for Typical. Gets a demo on the back line, but another demo was given by Gyro, so that killed Spacestation's attack. AJ gets a flip over 1. Typical pulls off on the challenge. AJ lets it rip, and Typical takes the save. Shot from Illusion is good. FaZe split the lead.
Look at that shot from AJ. buys a lot of space behind the first defender, and then just hooks it on target. Typical, got to give him some credit. Great save to at least keep that one out, but that's all he gets as Illusion cleans everything up for FaZe Clan, and they get on the board.
We'll see if FaZe Clan can repeat that one in quick fashion. With the kickoff looking like it's going to Space Station, or really just neutralized, and these things flip on a hat on a challenge. AJ pumped one up there for Illusion, and now FaZe are getting set up. Gyro wins another touch. Illusion close by Arsenal. It's a solid challenge, but this is the problem that Space Station had in game one. They got constantly locked down in these defensive corners. They had to wait for FaZe to deliver the ball to their backboard to get better clears. They get them here, but they don't want to play that game too long with FaZe. They move down the field here. AJ blocks Typical out. Now Gyro taking point for FaZe. Reddles takes the ball away, and Space Station are able to keep FaZe off the ball for a little while, but for how long?
And it does feel like the pendulum is slowly starting to swing in favor of FaZe. I think it's that urgency that's picked up. After that first goal, all of a sudden FaZe, they are clicking. Here's AJ on the ball with boost to work with, trying to go straight at the net. Couldn't get the ball on top of his car, I think, as much as he wanted, and allowed Typical to come through on the challenge.
Oh, a lot of tight challenges right now, all along the thirds and in midfield. But the positioning has been solid on the back end from both teams. They've been able to get to any dangerous balls where a challenge went where you might not have expected it. Here's another one off the backboard. Gyro was expecting a quicker return. He didn't get it, and Reddles gets the demo on AJ, but not before he could get the save. Still, this is a good look for Space Station. Typical up high, low boost. Now nothing as he drops it down, but Arsenal can't commit. Instead, plays it back to the side. FaZe hanging on defense. AJ kicked out of the way. Illusion can't win the challenge. Another one high off the backboard. Gyro got bumped by Arsenal, and somehow FaZe just come away clean. Space Station couldn't commit, and they're back on the orange half.
Both sides very disciplined there on that attack from Space Station. Arsenal not diving into the play, especially with that ball coming across the box. Knew it wasn't scoreable, and the defense holding strong from FaZe. Even in the chaos that Space Station were able to create, Space Station much stronger on offense here in game two.
Illusion picks up another one, too. Here comes a push from FaZe. AJ flips it over. Typical gets bumped out of the way.
Oh,
AJ
my.
mid-air demo, and FaZe tie the game!
That was a great dribble from AJ, but look at Illusion. Look how he just dumps it off to AJ, gives it away, completely confuses the defense, and then AJ takes it himself, works his magic on the defensive side of Space Station Gaming to tie up the game.
Now, that was a special one for FaZe. You talk about Space Station trying to get creative in the middle of the field with the physical plays. But look at FaZe right now! Gyro sets up AJ for payday!
Look at what Gyro does. Slows the play down with the backflip, then just dishes it off to AJ to put it top shelf. In the lead, go FaZe.
Well then, that has flipped on its head twice now. FaZe, 3 quick goals here against Space Station. But Reddles is a full tank of boost. Can he get a setup? There haven't been many for Space Station. And Illusion squeezes the ball in Arsenal, or in between Arsenal and the wall, but Space Station will get another look at it. Still, I might have been expecting an overtime after FaZe had tied the game, but they weren't even done off that kickoff. This might be a dangerous spot. Reddles kicks it high. Typical has to cut across laterally. Now in front, gets the dunk. Arsenal comes across wide, but AJ plays it out. FaZe cover every gap on defense, and Space Station have to break their way through with a battering ram with hopes to score.
That defense is sealed right now. Now Typical has opportunity here to take it up and over. AJ does get the touch.
Wow.
Still, Space Station struggling to break through. Illusion gets the demo on Arsenal, which allows that ball to roll to the other side, and Arsenal gets it on the respawn.
Nice touch on the wheel from Typical, but Illusion gets there this time. AJ can't kill the ball. Last push for Space Station. Typical pre-flip in front, gets the challenge win. No shot comes.
Reddles.
Here's Reddles underneath, and it's a goal with 1 second left. Space Station tie it up.
Just when you think the game slipped from their hands, Space Station pulling out. AJ's touches straight at Reddles, who's waiting to see where this play ends, and it rolls right out to him for him to put it away with 1 second to spare.
And AJ's last 10 clears, Corelli, were perfect. But all it takes is one to send Space Station to overtime, and here we are in game 2. What a match so far.
Well, you thought it'd go to overtime, Jorby, and you got it. Not maybe the way you think, and for FaZe, what a comeback in for Space Station. Good on them to stay in it. They might be able to take the game away now. This one's quite dangerous for FaZe. AJ having to deal with it now. Gyro to pick it up on the flick, still with it. and with no boost, we'll pop it up for Illusion. This is dangerous now. Didn't get the flip that he wanted, and that will fizzle out the attack.
Arsenal gets the next catch, forces the challenge against Gyro, but Gyro did not quit on the play. AJ gets right at the point with Sypical. Space Station, it's still their ball, and FaZe have to play laterally on their own back wall. Gyro, next up for a clear. He's able to get it a little far, but not too far. Illusion gets the clear that FaZe actually want. Now it's about winning this next challenge, but Arsenal, difficult to get by. Bumps AJ off the play. Sypical, full tank by Gyro. One more for Sypical with 9 boost. Touches it down, and Arsenal was in the air with him, but missed the touch, and Reynolds has to sit back. Would have been pretty if he would have hit it.
And they're lucky Reynolds is so good to be able to bring this one out by himself. He was in a tough situation. Now Arsenal gets a piece of Illusion, takes him out of the play. Space Station, opportunity, but unfortunately no follow-up off the back wall, and a big clear from Gyro. AJ trying to meet it. He does get a piece of it. Gyro went for it and turned away by Arsenal.
Yeah, tried to read that touch, the clear out to the side. Space Station get another look, and FaZe again. Wait, Arsenal got the demo. Sypical slowing it down, pops it over Illusion. They got Reynolds and Arsenal now as backup, and FaZe slow coming out the blue gates. Challenge, that'll be for AJ, but there isn't a clear path forward for FaZe as they move back to the Space Station corner. AJ does what he can to just make things confusing in the corner, and Gyro, well, he's going to have to wait for Space Station's touch. FaZe struggling to regain control, but the more challenges go their way, the more likely they get a shot, and Sypical takes it back to the corner. Illusion just kind of pinched it on the top of the opponent's car, and it forces FaZe back to the blue half.
AJ's done a great job here of shadowing that entire play, waiting for that ball to come back to his corner. Illusion here to clear it away for FaZe. Has Gyro on the back wall, but met by Sypical instead. Sypical, he wants more. Down the sideline he goes to the FaZe side. This one bouncing off the back wall. AJ very patiently waiting to play this one over one. Can't get by Reynolds. It goes out to the midfield. Sypical, met by Illusion. Illusion does a great job to at least push that one away and stop the Space Station attack.
Well, the transitions from FaZe are looking less threatening, and Space Station, the more times they find their way into the FaZe net, the more dangerous it looks, and the more likely it looks like they're going to score. They're able to send FaZe back to the blue half again, but man, this has been tough to crack. AJ again just splits the gap. Space Station forced to their own wall again. Illusion gets a massive dunk, and Arsenal has to try again from his own corner.
Coming up now on 3 minutes of overtime. AJ takes to the sky as he's trying to carry it over, runs out of boost, but there's 11 shots on Space Station sides to the FaZe 10. It has been back and forth. Now Illusion, he's going to have a shot on target, but it's weak. Sypical, big clear, and Gyro there to clean it off the back line.
Sypical taking that boost away off of his clear effort. Now has to wait for Gyro. Gyro's over him. Arsenal in a bad spot, but he makes the touch and has enough boost to fall right back down on top of it. That was a precarious situation, and it's not over. Illusion sends it across. Arsenal able to dump it back down to Sypical. Quick transition for Space Station. Sypical tried to muscle his way through. He'll take another boost for his efforts.
And we're
approaching. Yeah, 4 minutes of overtime. I see that on the back. We'll see who
AJ is reversing.
One.
He's reversing into Reynolds off the midfield boost here.
You know, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be your front bumpers, Corelli.
Hey, I didn't know. Wow.
Any bumper. Yeah.
Well, I don't think this benefits FaZe. You take out AJ, and I feel like that was most of your offense. So an interesting decision from AJ as Illusion here has to play a little bit of defense. Reynolds is the other one locked in for Space Station with AJ on the midfield line. So a 2v2, I suppose, will decide this game, Jorby.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I would want to be in a 2v2 against Sypical and Arsenal.
Yeah, I don't know why you take this 2v2 if you're FaZe.
Hey, you know,
it's a tough one.
It's game 2. Why not? We can throw that one in. Yeah. Space Station take the win. Sypical get the goal. After 4 minutes and 24 seconds of overtime, we get a roll 1 into a Space Station victory.
Yeah, and you know what? I feel like FaZe, you're the one to blame for that one. You take away a lot of the offense, and then you put yourself in a 2v2 against Arsenal and Sypical. Not what I would advise most of the time, and for Space Station to do come out with a win.
Look, Corelli, if there's anything you can say about it, at least you know that there's mutual respect. And sometimes respect is the only thing that matters. But, you know, this is a competition. Respect matters a little bit, but you also like to win. And look, here's the thing. FaZe, will that one hurt them too badly? Probably not. This is a play for seeding for tomorrow into the rest of the tournament. So is it that big of a deal? No, but at the same time, beating Space Station here and keeping them as low as possible is certainly something that is in your best interest, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for Space Station, they're happy to come out with this win, and a much needed win too, and especially in a game where I felt like they played pretty well. I mean, this was a complete reversal from what we saw in the first game, where it felt like Space Station couldn't get anything going. And you do have to give a lot of credit to FaZe. It's really not that Space Station were playing poorly. It was more that FaZe was doing such a great job of locking down their defense and transitioning so fluidly downfield. It was a beauty to watch in that first game for FaZe, and they did it here in the second game as well. But I think Space Station picked up the pace a little bit. They were able to find their offense a lot more.
Well, Space Station certainly need to keep their cameras on a swivel, because FaZe are whipping out every trick they have in the book to get by the Space Station defense. Saw some really nice progressions, especially with Gyro as first man. He's really come into that role on this team, hasn't he? Like you were talking about it earlier, AJ's got two players on his team that help facilitate his pop-off potential. I feel like Gyro's the real centerpiece behind that. He creates so many opportunities that way for his team, and AJ might set this one up himself, pushing it towards, but Reynolds gets the pick.
Still the attack on here for FaZe. Space Station trying to find a way out as they register their first save off the first two shots from FaZe. No boost here for Arsenal in the midfield. Sipical has to pick it up. He's also low on boost, so Space Station's attack quite slow. Reynolds finally with some boost comes through to maybe push it through the corner, and they're not able to. Sipical on the challenge in the midfield. FaZe took such a good job in that challenge game as well, Jorby. It's, again, another reason why Space Station have had troubles on offense. It's not only just the defensive stance that they're having on their goal line, but the challenge game has been so strong. And you see Illusion and Gyro. This one comes right down to Gyro, and look how much space he has. Flicks over one. Can he pop it up and over? Coast to coast for Gyro as he puts FaZe Clan up by one.
Oh, he's sailing high. Easy, 25 boost in a dream. Pop it once, pop it twice. Oh, that's money. 1-0 for FaZe. Excellent progression from Gyro. As I was just talking about him, he ends up just putting it in himself. No AJ required.
It's a crime that he had that much space in the midfield, too, for Space Station. Everyone was around him. They just couldn't get to him fast enough. It was clever from Gyro to pick that ball up and go straight through the middle of the field. FaZe almost gets their second as AJ threatening the net. Reynolds has to clear it away, and now on the dribble. Tried to go by Illusion, not going to happen.
Still some space here for Sipical. And they got FaZe in a staggered boost game, but AJ grabbed that full tank. Oh, sails over one defender. Sipical pops it high. And Gyro is definitely playing a lower touch, but he able to get another touch out. And Illusion, nice challenge in midfield. AJ takes another shot. Here's FaZe again. Not even just the challenge game, but they are very resistant to relinquishing midfield. The Space Station really got to think about how they can break by this FaZe team, because FaZe just seem to have the pulse on how Space Station want to clear the ball. And it's been difficult to find the gaps. They find this one here, and it's going to have to continue dangerously against the post. Illusion happy to let that one go.
Yeah, you know, Gyro's a tricky player to play against. He is not one to give up the ball quite easy. He's a player that stays behind the ball when he's in the air and on the ground. He does a great job of making sure that any time the opposition is going to have a touch on it, he's there to at least make sure you don't get to do exactly what you wanted.
You know, it kind of feels like an NA virtuoso, you know. Oh, Illusion just pops that in. He was waiting downfield for it. AJ launched it to him, and that's an easy goal for FaZe.
Wow, Arsenal and Sipical pushing up here. This is, again, a casual goal. We said it in the first game. Quite casual here for Illusion. And again, Space Station overcommitting, moving downfield, a little too quick to transition from defense into that midfield. And the ball comes straight back to bite him as Illusion. An easy tap in for him.
Oh, Gyro in a tough spot as Sipical wins the challenge, and Sipical will get the goal. Gyro did what he could to make that save, but too strong shot from Sipical.
Yeah, nice little touch there from Sipical to get by AJ, and then enough boost and momentum to get power behind that ball to push it past Gyro. That's what happens when you get that quick shot off a kickoff. And for Sipical and Space Station, they'll be happy as they cut the lead in half.
And Gyro again going underneath. Gets the bump on Reynolds, but Sipical was playing him close. So Space Station can at least contend for midfield. Uh-oh. Arsenal lets that one go, and that's not the clear you want if you're Reynolds. Low boost situation, and you pretty much just have to wait for FaZe to play it back from midfield. Here's Illusion again. 23 when at the start of his approach, but can't get by Arsenal on the flip reset. Finally, Reddles gets a look at it, able to get by Gyro. AJ tried to stop him. Typical takes another shot, and AJ plays it back over to the corner. Illusion to play it out again. FaZe stop a Space Station attack.
Illusion doing his best to squeak by the Space Station defense. Not going to happen. AJ still staying on this ball. He actually baited Gyro into the challenge. Now Reddles has his opportunity as Illusion tries to slow it down. Space Station looking to threaten here to tie up the game, and they're getting a couple demos. Typical takes out Gyro in the net, and he spawns right in front of the ball as the shot takes off from Arsenal. Still the attack on here for Reddles as he pops that one up. Nobody has boost on the Space Station side. They all rotated back.
No, man, Typical had stayed inside FaZe's net, waited for somebody to rotate back in so he could bump them out of the way again, and it was Illusion who came back in on the spawn. That was another dangerous one that FaZe throw away, but a little bit of time left for Space Station. Reddles demos Illusion midair, ball sailing towards the net, but AJ, again on the backboard, trying to get there quickly against Typical. Gyro, bouncer, but Space Station have been able to hold FaZe at the gates on the orange half, looking for a way to burst through the blue gates of their own. Back wall, back to Typical, taken away by Gyro. Arsenal has the first look at the ball, and Gyro will pop it up again, but this is a loose ball in front of the box. Illusion gonna kick it far, and that's a lot of time chewed off the clock. Space Station have another chance for a push.
And these are great attacks for Space Station. This can't break the defense. Here's Rena looking for two as it's turned away by Illusion. Space Station, one last attack here, Jorby.
Typical back over to Reddles, hits it up high, time expires, Illusion takes the clear, Arsenal gets the catch, handles it carefully, but AJ got the clear. Reddles pumps it back towards the net. Gyro trying to put it back onto the ground. Illusion kicks it by the Space Station defense. Arsenal got the catch. Illusion can't stay on top of it, and Space Station doing what they can to keep the ball in the air. Successful as they've been, they gotta get it downfield. They can't. FaZe taking a match point.
The game expired there right at the end. Going into the point, though, these were really good attacks from Space Station. You have to, again, give a lot of credit to FaZe. They have done well on defense to turn away the opportunity that Space Station they themselves have created, and that's a big difference here from maybe earlier games for Space Station. They have done a great job of showing themselves, again, kind of that Space Station that we would expect. The demo plays are there, especially from Arsenal and Reddles, really mixing up the defense, churning that FaZe clan defense to find some sort of gap. And they have been, but man, oh man, FaZe clan have just been locked down on defense. There have been some close games, Jorby, but you got to give credit to that FaZe defense right now.
I mean, absolutely. AJ especially, he had 5 saves in that last game alone. And that goal that Typical scored that we saw, only reason that happens is because Typical won the ball cleanly in midfield. Gyro was at least expecting some sort of contest, and he still almost made a perfect recovery on his half flip to make the save. That's how tight it's been for FaZe's defense. So we'll see what happens. But for me right now, Corelli, Space Station are doing exactly what you want them to do. You don't want them to play too high risk. Don't take too many chances. Take what FaZe give you, and likely you'll find success. It's worked for them so far, but they have to be careful of this FaZe transition. Gyro's already burned them by himself. AJ has already burned them by himself, and when they string some nice plays together as a unit, well, they're real dangerous. Man. AJ puts the first shot in for FaZe, and they'll start with a bang.
Poor Arsenal, watching this one from his POV. There were so many players that jumped after this ball that just didn't hit it. Illusion had the opportunity to flick it on. There was 2 players earlier that jumped after it. So it's very tough for Arsenal to read who's actually going to take the shot. You're kind of having to decide earlier than when the play happens to predict where this ball is going to go, and eventually AJ comes through and just smashes it home.
Good start on the kickoff, though. Reddles gets a demo on Gyro on the backside. Arsenal just let that ball dump in front, and man, other teams will usually flub in that spot. A double commit, they run into each other, or they hit it on their teammate's car and it bounces weird and the ball's in your net. But for some reason, FaZe can sit 2 inches away from each other on defense, not bump into each other, and somehow come away with the clear. Here's another one AJ has to handle, and Arsenal knew he didn't have the angle. He didn't want to try to force it. FaZe, outstanding on the goal line. They're going to have to do it again. Reddles wins over 1, but AJ on the back wall has been clutch for the most part. He loses that touch. Gyro to tough spot, and Reddles punches it in. Space Station tie it.
There you go, Space Station. And that's the type of goals that they're going to have to score here against FaZe, is breaking down the defense, chance after chance, shot after shot. and spending a lot of time in that FaZe Clan defensive zone, and they could finally find that shot right in front of the net. And for Spacestation, again, it's strong offense from them. We've been giving a lot of credit to the defense of FaZe, and for good reason, but again, I want to make sure everyone knows that Spacestation's offense have been pretty strong here, just as strong, and it's just that clash of two big titans on both sides of the field.
Ooh, oh, what a save off the crossbar! AJ scores anyway, and FaZe somehow punched through Space Station after that Herculean effort from Sipical.
Oh, man. That massive effort from Sipical, and then Reynolds, he was going to get there for the save, but he got bumped out of the way at the last second by a FaZe player to let AJ come through and score it. Reynolds could have bailed out Sipical after making that crazy save, but FaZe once again on offense, proving that everything locked down. And they're back up by 1.
Arsenal trying to force something against the corner. Space Station I feel like they've been in that right corner very often on FaZe's half. And Reynolds will actually force the ball in and tie it right back up. So no harm, no foul for Space Station.
And this is an incredibly smart challenge from Reynolds. The way he positions his car to make sure that AJ does not win that challenge is so crucial. And I mean, he got the icing on the cake scoring the goal as well. I don't think that last man in net expected that challenge to go so far against AJ. So for Space Station, answers back after a big challenge. We're all tied up.
And you can understand FaZe's mindset. They've lost few challenges in their own half. And Gyro forces the ball out. Now Reynolds is starting to lay his finger on the pulse of this FaZe defense. He's shot the gap a couple of times now to break up these these small ball passes, if you will. And Lucian, a demo on the back end. AJ getting bumped. Reynolds stealing the ball away. I think Reynolds has got a little bit of fury in him right now. He's starting to take a permanent residence midfield and beyond. Sipical taking a shot downfield.
He's a little bit slimy right now, just getting inside between the FaZe players. And he's doing a good job too, taking that ball away, making things tough. And, you know, keeping his presence on the minds of FaZe is so important here. He's chasing after AJ on their near post as well. I mean, that's just knowing that, oh yeah, I got to keep in mind that Reynolds could be behind me, bumping me, or Reynolds could be here to intercept this midfield pass is a very scary thing. And Gyro with the big time dunk for the go-ahead goal.
Yeah, big time dunk for Gyro, and this is on brand for Gyro. I've watched him score so many goals like that. He just gets in front. It's a perfect angle on the challenge, and that's all. That's all it takes for Gyro.
Anytime you watch the tape on this FaZe team, it's always Gyro with these big challenges through players. It really is, and he's done that for years. And you can see what it gets for his team, having those big-time challenges. He's always able to stay behind the ball and at least get another touch.
And there was another one there in midfield. He even tried to keep the play alive, staying right with the Space Station player. He picked up another save. Lucian, nice touch to set up AJ, but Space Station are throwing a flurry of shots at the net. Sipical, a lot of space to think about this approach. He'll take it fast and high. Up high there against AJ, but no real touch. Uh-oh, Reynolds tried to get the bump and the touch, it looked like. Didn't go to plan. And FaZe will get another look at it, Lucian, but no boost for him. FaZe are still locked in the blue half.
Great work here from Gyro to at least slow down the first attack. Space Station, though, they've been getting better and better of controlling their offensive third. FaZe got a little mixed up here in the midfield, but they get by Reynolds. Lucian trying to get the challenge, and Sipical there to push it away. AJ to respond back and forth. Lucian to pop it up. AJ with no boost. Has to take away the Space Station's corner, and Reynolds here to try and push it downfield.
Now that's been the struggle for possession in midfield. Reynolds tried to find a shot, but Gyro cut off the angle. But as soon as FaZe get downfield or Space Station get downfield, neither team is fully controlling the boost game. And so you don't get to stay on offense long if you're either team. AJ, pop high up downfield, gets underneath it, I thought he was about to go underneath Sipical. Lucian jumps in front to get the ball to Gyro.
That's such a scary spot for any team, seeing AJ full boost into the air with that type of space to get back to the ball. But here's Reynolds. That shot was just a bit high, but it's turned away by Lucian.
Good challenge from Lucian. That shot was certainly coming right back to Gyro. Now, with no boost, he does what he can to keep it locked. Arsenal pulls off the play. It slips under him and right back to Reynolds. But Gyro cuts off the approach. Gyro cuts off the entire Space Station roster. Sypical gets another catch, but now he's got to stay in the air, and Illusion won't let him. FaZe, what a performance against Space Station. They took him down today, and that may bode well heading into tomorrow.
Oh, it absolutely should. FaZe looking very, very strong here in this series. Impressive. You know, we talk about the offense, we talk about AJ, we talk about Gyro, and what they bring. The defense for FaZe was so strong, and not so much in the sense of, because I think a lot of times, Jordan, when we talk about defense and teams playing a lot of defense, it usually means that they're getting beat pretty badly, you know, where they're locked into their own end. That was not the case with FaZe. They played against a strong offense here, and they locked it down. 10 saves in this game alone to make sure that Space Station couldn't tie this one up.
I mean, their follow-ups were just, it felt like their follow-ups 9 times out of 10 was perfect into a space where Space Station had to use more of their boost just to retrace their own steps, to retreat in the rotation, and they could never really take control of the match. FaZe played an excellent game on defense, had some great transitions, and we'll see how far this FaZe team can go throughout this regional, but we're going to throw it back to Leaf and the guys to close out the day. We'll see you guys on Saturday.